There is a kind of power that never raises its voice. It doesn't argue, it doesn't explain, and it never rushes to defend itself. Yet when this kind of person enters a room, something shifts. Conversations soften, disrespect hesitates, and tension quietly retreats. Most people believe authority is built through volume, speaking louder, reacting faster, proving dominance in the moment. But that kind of power is fragile. It collapses the second emotions take over. Stoic philosophy reveals a harder truth. The most untouchable people are not aggressive. They are controlled. They do not fight for attention. They do not beg to be understood. And they never hand their emotional state to someone else's behavior. This is not a weakness. It is restraint. And restraint is what makes a man dangerous. Not because he reacts, but because he doesn't. And today, you'll learn how true strength is built in silence, and why the calmest person in the room is almost always the one in control. Why loud reactions always look weak? Loud reactions feel powerful in the moment. They create noise, they draw attention, and they give the illusion of control. But in reality, volume is often a confession. It reveals that something inside you has been touched. When a person raises their voice, reacts emotionally, or rushes to defend themselves, they are not asserting dominance. They are surrendering it. They are showing that another person now controls their emotional state. Stoic philosophy teaches a simple rule. Whoever controls the reaction controls the interaction. Weak people react because they feel threatened. They need to be heard immediately. They need to prove they are not small. Strong people do the opposite. They pause, they measure, they choose restraint. Because the moment you react loudly, you become predictable. And predictability is the first thing respect abandons. State 1. Emotional stillness under pressure. Pressure reveals who is in control. Most people believe strength means responding quickly when challenged. Stoic philosophy teaches the opposite. When tension rises, the undisciplined mind reacts. It explains, it defends, it tries to regain status through emotion. But emotional stillness changes the entire dynamic. When you remain calm under pressure, you deny the other person what they want most: a reaction. Your silence forces them to sit with their own aggression, their own insecurity. This is not avoidance, it is dominance without effort. Marcus Aurelius wrote that you always have the power to rule your mind, not outside events. The man who understands this does not flinch when tested. Stillness communicates something words never can. Nothing here can reach me. And once people realize they cannot shake you, they stop trying. State 2. Silence after disrespect. Silence after disrespect is one of the most misunderstood forms of power. Most people think silence means weakness, fear, or surrender. In reality, it is often the opposite. When someone disrespects you, they expect engagement, an argument, an explanation, an emotional exchange that keeps them relevant. Silence denies them that reward. You're not ignoring the behavior, you are refusing to validate it with your energy. No justification, no visible reaction, no emotional leakage. This creates psychological pressure. The other person is left alone with their action, and uncertainty replaces confidence. Stoic discipline teaches that not every offense deserves a response. Some deserve distance. Silence redraws the hierarchy without confrontation. It says, you no longer have access. And once access is removed, as disrespect loses its power entirely. State 3. Slow, deliberate responses. Speed is often mistaken for confidence, but in tense situations, fast reactions usually signal anxiety, not strength. The undisciplined mind rushes to reply because it fears losing ground. It fills silence with words, it answers before thinking, and in doing so, it gives away control. Stoic composure moves at a different pace. When you respond slowly and deliberately, you change the tempo of the interaction. You force the other person to wait. You make them adjust to your rhythm. This pause creates gravity. It shows that your emotions are not easily triggered, that your words are chosen, not spilled. Epictetus taught that if you wish to improve, be content to appear slow or unresponsive in trivial matters. Because the one who controls timing controls influence. Calm, measured responses don't seek approval. They command respect. State 4. Walking away without announcement. Not every situation deserves closure, and not every act of disrespect deserves a conversation. Most people feel compelled to explain why they are leaving. They justify, they argue, they announce their boundaries as if asking for permission. Stoic strength does none of this. Walking away without announcement is not avoidance, it is discernment. You recognize when engagement no longer serves your dignity. No speeches, no warnings, no final messages meant to be remembered. Your absence becomes the message. Seneca warned that some people drain your peace not through cruelty, but through constant friction. The solution is not confrontation, it is removal. When you leave calmly and without noise, you close the door without slamming it, and that quiet finality is what makes the decision irreversible. True power knows when to exit, and does so without looking back. State 5. Consistent boundaries without explanation. The strongest boundaries are rarely spoken. They are enforced through behavior, not announcements. Most people talk about their limits. They warn. They threaten consequences, and then they bend the moment pressure appears. Stoic boundaries work differently. You do not explain what you will tolerate. You simply respond consistently when a line is crossed. Access is reduced. Engagement is withdrawn. Energy is conserved. No lectures. No emotional speeches. No need to convince anyone you are serious. Consistency does the work for you. Epictetus taught that freedom is secured not by controlling others, but by disciplining your own responses. When people see that your behavior never wavers, they adjust automatically. Invisible boundaries create visible respect. Because people don't obey what you say, they respect what you enforce. Calmly, repeatedly, without exception. Weak men react. Strong men remain. Untouchable. Reaction is easy. It requires no discipline, no patience, no mastery. Anyone can lose control when challenged. Weak men react because they need to protect their ego. They argue to feel important. They raise their voice to feel powerful. But every emotional outburst hands control to someone else. Strong men move differently. They don't rush to defend their pride. They don't chase validation. They remain composed when tested because their strength is internal, not performative. Stoic philosophy teaches that the man who governs himself cannot be governed by others. When you control your reactions, you remove the leverage people use against you. Untouchable men are not loud, they are stable. And stability is intimidating because it cannot be provoked, cannot be manipulated, and cannot be shaken. That is the difference. One reacts to the world, the other stands unmoved within it. Untouchable is an inner position. Being untouchable is not about intimidation. It is not about dominance, aggression, or proving strength to others. It is about discipline. When you stop reacting, you stop being controlled. When you stop explaining, you stop giving people leverage. And when you protect your energy, your presence begins to carry weight. Stoic philosophy never teaches you to silence others. It teaches you to govern yourself. Because the man who controls his inner world cannot be shaken by the outer one. You don't need to raise your voice to command respect. You don't need to win arguments to win position. You don't need approval to stand firm. Calm is not passive. Silence is not weakness. Restraint is not fear. They are signals of mastery, and mastery is what makes you untouchable. wherever you go, whoever you face, and whatever tries to provoke you.